Assalamu alaikum. I'm glad to be part of this initiative. Thanks to CD for giving me this opportunity. I have already taught business analytics to MBA and marketing guys last year. It was a very good experience. Uh, I will suggest all of you to tighten your seatbelts because this talk is absolutely essential for the marketing and business related students. Okay. Okay, so this is the title. I was asked to present this title. It's not my proposed title, so let's see how it goes out. So, a bit of a profile. So, I have my basic education in machine learning, and I'm doing research in basically deep learning and data science, etc., including business analytics. I have done lots of consultancies in many different domains in the last 10 years. Done several workshops as well in these domains, especially in business analytics. And this is also something which all of you need to look at. Um, this is a diploma which is being offered by CICT. This is I designed this diploma. It's very useful for the industrial sector. Currently, we have the fifth batch, and in each batch we have around 15 to 20 students, professionals, in fact, from the industry. So this is a very intensive diploma, and it's very good to take it in the long run, or you can propose it just for your knowledge. Okay, so this is the typical hierarchy of any company, whether it's a startup or or a big company. You have a lower management, you have a middle management, and then you have the upper. So in the case of entrepreneurship, obviously many things are mixed up with each other because you are not that much uh, you know significantly established to have a hierarchy like this, but more or less you can have the same hierarchy and follow it as much as you can. You can even have one person in each layer. So we all know how this works out. So lower management, we have people like developers, team leaders or junior team leaders. Middle management, we have the project managers, something like that, or even the business managers. And in the upper management, we have the C-level executives. Okay. So this is pretty simple to understand, nothing complicated about this. This is where, these are some of the roles in the hierarchy. So we have interpersonal roles in which we have the leaders. We have informational people who are processing the information which is being provided by the figureheads and leaders. And the third, we have the decisional layer in which we have the entrepreneur. And the entrepreneur is someone who is actually responsible for bringing innovation in an organization. For example, I once visited the surgical the surgical lab at Aga Khan, and they have designed a lab in which you can practice surgeries. It's right across the main building. So there they have an office of entrepreneurship, and they said our job here is to spend like maybe 1 hour every day and thinking of ideas how to make our department better. So we want to use the information which is being generated by different people in the organization in a better way. And that makes the entrepreneur a very, very important person, whether he or she is running a startup or, is just an entrepreneur in the company. It's basically a very strong decisional role, and it has a lot to do with the data. Okay. So this is pretty simple to understand, nothing complicated. So business analytics, what does that actually mean? So we want to extract value from the data, and value means basically the data which is hidden from you. You can't see it, you don't know about it, and yet it is very, very useful for your business. Okay, so the whole purpose of doing data analytics is to do this. So basically this is done to get to know your customers more. If you're a business manager and you don't know your customers, then how can you work? Okay, so the customer is now hidden inside the data. That's the main point. That's also pretty clear, I guess. If you have any queries, then you can interrupt me and ask me questions. For example, I can predict the sales for the next quarter. I can't do that through guesswork, right? So I can predict the sales using business analytics. I can predict which of my telecom customers will churn in the next month or in the next week. I can predict the propensity of a sample of population to respond to a marketing campaign. So I don't want to go to an area and target 500 people. I just want to predict which are the people who are most likely to respond, and I'm only going to target those. So it's going to save my time and money. I can do that, and it's being done across the world. The logistic companies like TCS and DHL, etc. They can actually predict which are the consignments which are going to be delayed, and you can also predict why the delay is happening. Okay, so you can learn from your data to understand why the delay is happening, and you can predict that this thing is going to get delayed by maybe 5 hours or 2 days, etc. You can predict cyber attacks. Now that's something which is really useful these days, considering everyone has a mobile and there's a lot of IT stuff going around. So you can predict the cyber attacks, and that's quite a difficult task to execute. But still, you can do it if you are a very clever business analytics professional or a data scientist. In the agriculture, I can predict the yield, how much I'm going to make, how much money I'm going to make, how much crop I'm going to get this year. I can actually do that very in a professional way. If I'm running an e-commerce website or e-banking website, for example, or even ATM, so I can see that how many number of visitors. I can predict the number of visitors. I can predict the cart activity, page visits, sales, all the KPIs related to e-commerce. I can predict those. In the healthcare domain, I can predict the diagnosis, that this guy has these symptoms. So what illness he has. So sometimes you also need to make that prediction. The doctors can take help from the previous knowledge of data and learn from that to make a prediction that okay, this guy might have typhoid and this guy might have pneumonia, etc., etc. I can predict the machine failures. For example, I have oil companies have large machines in the sea, and also near the sea in the harbor they have oil processing units. So and aircrafts have big engines, so they can fail. There's a crack which comes. So I can actually predict. This is called predictive maintenance. I can predict the failure of a machine in advance. Okay, and similarly, I can predict the traffic flows. I can predict data flows, network data, etc., etc. So it's something which is really um, it's you can say that it's something which is really uh, very useful for our businesses in Pakistan or anywhere else, that we have to actually understand this activity. So what are the prediction technologies that you need to be aware of? The first is machine learning. It's very common. It's a very common term these days. And if you go to Coursera and Udemy and all those IBM certifications and etc., you're going to find lots of tracks related to machine learning and data science. Yeah, basically the same thing. Machine learning is more mathematical, and data science is more like business term for machine learning. So, but now the term is used interchangeably, I guess, in the industry. So there's not a big difference. Uh, quite an interchangeable term. Time series forecasting is also prediction. I can predict based only on time. For example, I can predict the stock value for the next time interval, and I can predict, for example, the number of customers in the next hour, something like that. So that's time series forecasting. Deep learning is machine learning part two. That's the word deep, so it's really complicated, and it is meant to be used for very complicated prediction tasks, like for example related to speech processing, image processing. That does not really come into the domain of the general businesses these days in Pakistan. Maybe after like 5 years it will, but currently it's not very much. It's being experimentation phase mostly. So these are the four prediction technologies which you need to be aware of. These are the tools, if you want to become a data scientist or a business analyst, I guess you have to learn Python. Okay. It could be difficult. You might say, oh, I'm from a management background, I'm from a BBA background. But it's Python is, very simplified programming language. It will give you power. That's the main thing. It will empower you. You can also use R, that's a statistical language. Julia is not that much common. I just wrote it because it's in the blogs these days. But it might come up after like 1 to 2 years. It might, cross R or something like that. Currently, we have Python and R as the leaders. If you want to do deep learning, then you have to use TensorFlow. TensorFlow is from Google, and there's an implementation of that in Python. You can also use deep learning on MATLAB, but I will prefer that you use TensorFlow. Okay? And if you want to use a GUI tool, then yeah, you can use either Weka or RapidMiner. These are both very famous tools, and their ecosystem is really strong, and you can learn much even if you have not even taken a single computer science course. You can still learn a lot from these tools and start doing your analytics yourself. So these are as far as predictions are concerned. Okay. So is this clear up to now? If you have any queries, please ask me. Everyone okay?
Yeah, class, do you have any question you can ask by unmuting?
Okay, so it's pretty simple up to now. So let's proceed ahead. Just pay attention. I'll ask you to pay attention because don't relax. Okay. So prediction is very nice. So we have seen so many examples, and you can say, "Wow, this is good." But to make a predictive model, you first need to understand the data, and you understand the data through something which is called data wrangling. Wrangle means to really do something like aggressively. Okay, you wrangle something. I mean, you use it forcefully or something like that. You just destroy it or something like that. So basically, data is typically very dirty. We have to clean it and we have to understand it. These are the two tasks that we have to do: cleaning and understanding before we can start making predictions. Okay, prediction come right at the end, but in order to make, we have to first make the data eligible to be put in a predictive model, in a machine learning model. If you don't clean your data and you don't understand your data through statistics, then you can't make a good predictive model. That's the gist of that. The more you get your data in perspective, the more you can get a better accuracy at your predictions. It's not something that you just do on the fly with a few clicks and you have a predictive model. You need to spend a lot of time in wrangling. So so this is the part of wrangling that we are concerned with. The data has missing values. You need to cater for them. You need to fill up the missing values. You might also need to delete some missing values. The data has data entry errors. So if someone is manually inputting the data, for example, in the age column, someone can put in the sales value by mistake. That could happen even if you are using programming to enter the data. It might generate some errors. Okay. And there might be stuff which is incomplete. For example, someone has not given the address, someone has not given the age, someone has not specified the family information. For example, when you have insurance data, then the problem is complicated because in insurance data, the customers do not provide all the information in one go. Okay, so you have lots and lots of incomplete data. So you need to think of a way to fill that up. Otherwise, you can't use that for machine learning. There is some data which is not useful. For example, NIC. The NIC, I will not put that in a predictive model. I don't care. I want to predict the sales. Okay, so the NIC is not useful. If I have a row number, that's not useful. If I have a customer ID, that's not useful. A patient ID, a student ID, ERP ID. These kind of IDs are not useful for machine learning, so I can just remove them. Okay, Ji, Muhammad Azam, please.
So you talked about finance. So do you think a finance major should go into data analytics if he wants to go into asset management or investment?
Okay, let's first finish the slide. That will give you a better perspective to then ask the question. Okay, I'll answer this right at the end. There are many opportunities. You can look them up yourself also on Google, but first you need to understand what's happening here. Okay. So wrangling, there are outliers. Outliers basically mean that something which is not following the normal trend of data. Okay. For example, I can say that I can say that generally my average sale per day is maybe $2,500. Okay. Average sale per day for some small shop is $2,500 on the day, on the average. But one day I calculate the average, and that's equivalent to maybe $20,000. Okay, so this day is an outlier day because maybe uh, 15 to 20 people came from some other city and they bought really expensive things and then went away, but they are not my representative customers. Okay, my consignment gets delayed by 10 days. That's an outlier activity. Okay, and someone deposits $10 million in my account, in my bank, in one day. That's not a good activity. Someone extracts a large amount of data immediately. So all of these are a signs of outliers. So detecting outliers is also part of data wrangling. That's not easy. You have to know the techniques to do that, and that comes with experience. Okay, is this thing clear? You understand the outliers? Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
guess. So look, you can just just say that okay, it's fine. One of you can say it that it's fine. So and now these activities that I have listed, the missing values, data entry errors, incomplete data, useless data, we need to remove that, outliers. So that is one part of the game of wrangling. The other part is to understand the data. So this is more like cleaning. All of this is cleaning the data. Okay, and this is more like understanding the data. What we're doing here is what we are understanding the data, and for that you have to basically use statistics. So even now in BBA and in accounts and finance and ecomaths, almost all the students have a basic knowledge of statistics. They're using R language or some other tool, for example. So you need to understand your data. The statistics is not just for fun. The point is to understand your customers before you do predictions. Your goal is to predict, right? But even in this statistical uncovering of the data, you can discover so much information which you will be surprised to know. Okay, so if you skip this step, then you're never going to have a good machine learning model. That's what I want to stress. Okay, so here we have basically two things. One of the things is box plots and probability distributions, like we can see the normal distribution. We're going to see some examples later on. And the other thing is the correlation analysis. So I want to understand, if I have a table, for example, of many attributes, then I want to understand how the attributes are correlated with each other. For example, if I have age, uh, and if I have sales, so I want to understand that whether age has any relationship with sales. I mean, can I say that if the age increases, the sales also increases? Can I say that? Does the curve look something like that? That if the age is increasing, the sales also increasing? Then that's a correlation, right? Or it's the other way around, that if the age is increasing, the sales is decreasing. Maybe that's the. So I want to understand the correlations. That's part of the game to do a predictive model. Okay. So I hope this is clear, and there might be other activities as well, but these are the basic ones, and we really have to go through them and to understand how. Now the point is कि उसको करना कैसे, how to do it. Okay, so whenever you talk of analytics, you must have a business problem. अगर आपके पास business problem नहीं है, you have no business problem to solve, nothing is giving you attention, then you don't need to do data analytics. That's my understanding. Okay, you're running your business on your own experience and judgment, it's going along pretty well. It's okay even if you don't have a database, that's fine. Okay, but that thing is not going to be representative of what the world is doing. And the other thing is that sooner or later you have to do this. Okay? So to understand the customer, your biggest business problem is to understand the customer. That's always there, right? But you might have some more concrete problem like my sales are going down, my marketing campaigns are not picking up, etc., etc. Why is that happening? I want to delve into this. We launched a campaign, we spent like 1 million rupees on that, but there was no response, there was no increase in sales, blah blah blah, etc., etc. So my productivity of the employees is not that high, we are not achieving deadlines. So there could be lots of business problems in one company, even in a startup. So if you're an analyst, if you're an analyst, you've been hired to solve the problem, you're a business manager, so you definitely need to have a business knowledge. If you don't have the business knowledge, for example, if I don't know how the sales process runs, if I don't know how the agricultural process works, if I don't know how the business is done, then how can I work for the business? So to get the knowledge, you can use stuff like Wikipedia, you can use YouTube, you can see different types of blogs, and you can also talk with the guys. You can conduct interviews. That's one of the recommended techniques. You need to conduct interviews with the people to understand how the business is running. If you start wrangling without getting the business knowledge, then there is a very strong chance that you might make mistakes, and you might make mistakes, and you might even make a predictive model, and that will not be that thing that we require, because the data analyst does not have the required business knowledge. So that's why the people from the management side are so critical. They know how the business is run. The data scientist does not know how the business is run. So as a business manager, you must need to have knowledge of both the domains, the technical side and also the business side, and then you are apparently a lethal person, okay, in the company. No one can compete with you because you have knowledge of both domains and you can solve many problems which others cannot. Okay. So you need to have a problem, you need to have knowledge of the business, very in-depth knowledge. Then you need to have a team. Okay, the team can be in-house. You can hire some third party, or you can do just hire someone in your own company. You can hire a third party, and that's how you can get the analytics in place. And you also need to have application knowledge of analytics. That's one of the purposes of this presentation, because most of you are probably from the management side also. I'm giving you application knowledge. Then you need to understand what's cloud. Okay, so we have all heard of Amazon Cloud and Azure Cloud, and when you need to understand what are the BI tools like Power BI, etc., etc. So basically, what is BI? We have not talked about BI as yet. We have not talked about Tableau or Power BI. So they are basically supporting tools for business analytics. Okay, Tableau, Power BI help you do business analytics. Not as such prediction, but they help you with the wrangling part, and they help you with data understanding. Okay, data understanding is not only through statistical knowledge, it's also done through BI tools. Okay, so I hope that's clear. So one thing is that you clean your data. The other thing is that you understand your data first through statistics and then through BI. Okay, so that might solve many of your problems already. And then if you want to do prediction, then you can do predictions after this point. Okay, is this thing clear? You can see the video later on for more. So I guess this is clear. This is a bit of a history of how things rolled out. So I'll browse through this very quickly. So in the 1960s, we had just garage computers. So we had one computer which was very big. Then in 1970s, we came up with the semiconductor technology. तो उसमें the transistors जो आपके motherboard पे होते हैं, that became possible. So motherboard is full of transistors, and some chips which are made up of these technologies. And in 1970s, we came up with this idea for Oracle and SQL. It was basically IBM. You know about the databases, right? Oracle database. Everyone has heard about Oracle database and Microsoft SQL Server. So the foundation was laid by IBM, but the first company to launch the database was Oracle, and they also launched SQL, which we use nowadays for querying the data in the databases. In 1980s, then IBM also launched their database. Microsoft launched SQL Server, and then we had this data science and machine learning that came into picture. 1990s, may you had the internet. Then you had again these two databases. Now these databases are the standard ones: Oracle, DB2, SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres. These are the standard databases used in the whole world, right? Even right now. Okay. 1990s also saw data warehousing and BI. We're going to discuss these in detail today. Then in 2000, we had Google, Facebook, LinkedIn. So these guys generated lots of data. So to handle big data, we had Hadoop and MongoDB. So many people now prefer MongoDB as their database because it's very efficient as compared to Oracle and all these. And NVIDIA brought about these GPUs for deep learning in at the end of 2009, I guess, or something like that. And now we have lots of GPUs, and that's getting cheaper and cheaper, and we can do lots and lots of deep learning tasks like that. Okay. And Hadoop became developed. We don't need to delve into Hadoop right now. Big data analytics, deep learning, machine learning, Azure, and data governance. So these are some of the important topics. We can't go into the details of some of them. So the database technology, as even as business managers or entrepreneurs, you need to. My pronunciation of entrepreneur is might not be correct. I apologize in advance because it's a very difficult term for me to speak. So I apologize. Okay. So we were having these relational databases like Oracle, MySQL, which we used even now. We call them RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. But now we are having an other generation of database, which we call as NoSQL. And these guys store data in the form of tables, and these guys do not store their data in the form of tables. That's the basic difference. Okay. So these table is a very heavy data structure, so it's a bit time consuming. So it takes some time. These guys are efficient. So one of the more famous ones is MongoDB, which was I telling you about. And this is the document oriented, so I can store my data in the form of XML or JSON documents. And many people now, startups, for example, if you are talking about entrepreneurs who are running their startups, so you're running an e-commerce startup, right? So an e-commerce startup can generate lots and lots of data. So I will prefer that you go directly for MongoDB and start storing your data there, rather than installing Oracle or MySQL, open source, whatever. So many companies in the world are now using MongoDB, many companies. And for entrepreneurs, that's a very good solution. Clear? अभी तक ठीक है? कोई सवाल तो नहीं है? Everything is fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so data never sleeps, especially these days. Sorry? So, the data never sleeps, अब ये सारे statistics आपके सामने हैं, Netflix, Jiffy, Twitch or Tumblr or Twitter and Uber, Tinder, Google. So lots and lots of data is being generated. Obviously, all of it is not relevant to us, but in the companies, these things are now affecting our data collection and other things. So data is increasing. Or nowadays we have the SSDs. Even last 2 days ago, I was in Regal in Southern. So I was looking at those laptops which come from abroad, used laptops, and it's getting really cheap. I mean, a laptop which can cost you maybe several thousands of dollars in America, you can get it for several thousand rupees here in Pakistan. It's a used laptop, but it's perfectly working. So SSD is, hard disk. Everyone has a hard disk in there. So that's hard disk is magnetic. and SSD is electronic. Okay, a hard disk is mechanical in nature, so you have this spindle and platters, but SSD is completely electronic, so it's very fast as compared to hard disk. It's a bit expensive, but it's very fast. These kind of things are now coming up, and you can store more and more data in your hard disk or SSD. Okay, this is the RAM. So when I was young, so I used to have like maybe 2 GB of RAM or maybe 512 megabytes of RAM. That was a big deal like 20 years ago. Now 16 GB is also not enough. And we have systems in which we have 32 gigabyte of RAM. So all of these things are making data collection and processing very easy. So we need to do it. We need to do business analytics. What can you do with your data? Very interesting. Obviously, first I have to collect it. To collect it, I can use different tools. I can also use Python to collect the data. I can connect to some source and collect it. Okay. I need to store the data, so I can use either MySQL or MongoDB. I need to clean it. I have told you already what that means. I need to transform it. That's also part of cleaning. When I clean it, I will transform it automatically. Then I need to wrangle it. Wrangle means understanding, cleaning and understanding. We already talked about that. After that, I can analyze the data. I can provide security to it. I can do data governance, and I can share the results with all that. So analyze means basically machine learning, the predictive model. So in my view, these are the few tasks that we can do. Okay. The process is very simple. You got the data. Okay. You extract the information from that through wrangling. Okay. The wrangling, after wrangling, you do the analysis. This basically info means wrangling and analysis. Then you get the insights. So this could be the analysis. You get the insights and then you make the decisions and then you repeat the process continuously. You get the data, you have a business problem, you get the data for that problem, you clean the data, you wrangle the data, then you analyze the data, you get the insights or the valuable information, and then you take your decisions and then you repeat it. As simple as that. Okay. Okay. It's कहने में तो ये simple है, लेकिन हकीकत में this is absolutely complicated process. Involves lots and lots of people, lots and lots of groups, and many meetings, and many trial and errors, and many failures. So this is not easy, and you need to have in-depth knowledge of this if you want to be successful. Now, this is what happens when you talk about doing analytics. When you go to someone and say, I think you need to do data analytics. So first of all, they are going to say data denial. They don't trust the data, right? At the initial stage, the organization does not trust the data, so they just deny it. Okay, they deny it that okay, we want to use it, and then it comes they get somewhat better after some time. They say we are indifferent to it. Okay, it's there, but we are indifferent to it, and then they become aware of it. So aware means they at least start to wrangle it, for example, clean it and wrangle it to some extent. Then they become informed about it. They start to use the results, and then they become absolutely data driven. जिसका मतलब ये है कि वो they start doing predictive analytics, following the complete process जो मैंने आपको पिछली slide में बताया है. They have hired the relevant people, they have hired the third parties, they see the results, they develop the strategies. So that is called data driven. सही है? So that's the thing here. And if you want to become a data driven enterprise, then these are the 5 things you need to do. You need to have data empowerment. So you need to give your data power, that many people can access it and use it. Okay. You need to create pools of data, different pools for different type of people. For example, I am a human resource guy, so I need to analyze my data. So I need to have my own pool of data. Okay. I am from the sales side. I need to have a different analysis. So I need to have my pool of data in place. And if I am from the pure operational side, I need to see some statistics every day. So I need to have my pool of data. So I can't satisfy everybody with one pool. So what I can do is I can have something which is called a data lake. I know this very interesting concept, which we're going to touch base with this later on. So in the data lake, I can give one part of data lake to this guy, one part to this guy. So it's all very much modular and divided, and everything is clear. Okay. We need to have the goals. That means कि अगर आपके पास problem नहीं है, then you can't have a goal. A goal happens when you have a problem. For example, जब football खेला जाता है, so why do they call it a goal? They call it a goal because they are solving a problem. They want to win the match. So that's why it's called a goal. Okay, so they achieve a goal. So if you don't have a problem, then you don't have any goals in place. Obviously, you need to have the security in place. That's also some, and data experts on board. That's something which is really आजकल हमारे पाकिस्तान में the trend is that people are starting to hire data scientists. We have BI teams, we have data scientists, etc., etc. Um, and you also need to hire, for example, sometimes more professional people to get the things on. For example, you need to hire a product manager who knows about analytics. If you don't hire that guy and you hire data scientists, then who's going to lead them? That's the main part. So data experts should be there. So if you have these 5 things in place: data governance, data lakes, you have a problem to solve, your data is secure, and you have the relevant team, then you are absolutely good to go and you're going to be successful, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. Haji, everything is clear? I'd like to ask all of you,
Yes, sir.
Sarah and Anas, Ifra,
जी
Foz, Azim, all of you fine with it? Yes?
जी
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so analytics, here are the different types of analytics that you need to think about. Obviously, what you want to do is you want to take some actions in the company. जो company strategies अपनी change नहीं करती ज़माने के हिसाब से, तो that company basically stalls at some point of time. So you need to be innovative. You need to have an entrepreneurial mindset in place if you want to be successful, and that is absolutely linked to analytics. So what happened, why did it happen, that is part of wrangling and BI. So when you understand your data through statistical analysis, and when you do the business intelligence, then you're going to be having answers to these questions. If you do machine learning, you're going to be having answers to these questions. Okay. And prescription is something, you can do machine learning, but you want to tell ke is result ko istemal kaise karna hai. Like you are saying ke your futures, the sales for your next quarter are going to be 3.4 million. Okay, but what should you actually do to achieve that? That is called a prescription. Okay, or the explanation of why it is going to be like that, that's called a prescription. And this is also a very difficult thing to do. Typically, agar hum Pakistan mein, even if we are able to build a good predictive model, that's also a big deal. So yeah, that's we have so many data scientists getting the certifications, but unfortunately अभी तक हमारी companies में machine learning level के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा changes नहीं आ रहे हैं. ठीक है. अभी हमने recently एक survey, we just had a survey recently of around 52 companies, and अभी तक जो हमारे पास results हैं उसमें पता ये चल रहा है कि machine learning applications are not that much in Pakistan. It's on the rise, no one is claiming to have a very good machine learning model in place which is making good use, which is giving them money. Okay. So it's easier said than done, but these are the perspectives in place. So at least you should be able to do these 3. That's the main part. This is also another perspective of looking at the things, how it happens. You have these data sources. So you can have text files, Excel files, databases, Twitter streams. You do this ETL, which is also data wrangling, another name for data wrangling, extract, transform, load. You clean the data, you understand the data, you do some sort of typical BI, and you develop the warehouse. A warehouse is basically what BI is doing. I'll tell you what that means later on. Okay. And then you show the results on the dashboards. So here you can do machine learning as well. So it's more or less the same process. It's not very complicated. So from the sources to the wrangling, but this is the part which takes a lot of time. And even this part takes a lot of time. This is not easy, and it involves many problems and many complications. So ये जरूरी नहीं है कि आप हमेशा machine learning करें. Maybe आप data को clean करके just build a warehouse and develop your own BI solution and get the charts in place. Every problem is not a predictive problem in the company. You just need to understand your data more. So, yeah, that's the main part. This was given by Microsoft, और ये exactly वो चीज बता रहा है जो मैंने आपको बताई है कि first you need to have the business understanding. You need to have a problem. You need to understand the business. Based on your understanding, then you acquire the data and you understand that through statistical analysis. You clean it, you understand it, you do some sort of typical BI, warehousing, etc. यहाँ पर आपको आपके data के बारे में बहुत कुछ पता चल जाएगा. Then you go towards machine learning and do these machine learning steps. And then you develop the model, then you deploy it in the company and start using it. And this process can go on until you have a very good model in place and the customer accepts that. Okay, so it's easier said than done, but you just need to realize that these things are complicated. And you know, so this is a data lake. I told you कि data lake में हमारा मकसद क्या होता है कि हमने सब चीजें एक ही जगह पे डाल दी और हर एक को हम उसमें से थोड़ा थोड़ा निकाल के दे देंगे. So I collect the data from multiple sources, I ingest it. That means I put that in the lake. A lake is a big database. I blend it, means I might need to combine things from like Azure and Hadoop together. I might need to integrate things in the lake. Let's say, for example, I might integrate the customer data from 2 different companies into one data set. I might need to do that for some purpose. Okay. After that, I can clean the data and transform it and analyze that, and then I will publish it. Okay, and then after publishing I can distribute it. So बस इस चीज को ध्यान में रखें कि आजकल जो हमारा ट्रेंड चल रहा है ना वो डेटा लेक्स का ट्रेंड आ रहा है. अभी recently I came to know that HBL has developed its data lake. हबीब बैंक लिमिटेड ने जो है अपनी डेटा लेक बनाई है और उन्होंने वो सारी थर्ड पार्टी से बनवाई है और वो उससे डेटा लेक से फिर सारे उनके स्टेक होल्डर्स कनेक्ट करके अपना अपना डेटा पूल उठाते हैं और एनालिसिस कर रहे हैं. Right, so I have my student Tathir who was there, who is there currently. She did my survey with me, her survey with me, or she told me all these things. The data lake is there and they are using that for analysis. Okay. Acha, now we come to BI, right? So BI में क्या है कि I told you one thing कि चले मैं आपसे पूछता हूँ. Just ask, let me say. Muhammad Hamza Molani, are you there?
Yes, sir.
जी. Muhammad Hamza, ये बताइए कि what is the difference between business analytics and business intelligence?
So I have no idea.
No idea. बताया था, कौन बताएगा मुझे?
Anyone from the class?
जी. Someone should be able to answer. अच्छा चलें, ये कौन बताएगा कि business analytics क्या होता है? क्या पर्पस है business analytics करने का?
Sir, business analytics के अंदर we use data techniques to predict certain, like आपने कहा कि कोई goal वगैरह होना चाहिए. So we use data techniques to find how data works या कोई prediction वगैरह करता है.
Yeah, so we develop the understanding of the data. पहले हम clean करते हैं, but our aim is to extract the information which is useful, previously unknown, and hidden. That's the main thing that we need to understand. Achha, someone is on the chat as well. Atiq is saying we use statistical methods. Yes, okay, that's also a good response. So business analytics is going to tell you insights, something which is previously unknown, which is very useful, which is currently hidden. So business analytics ये सारी बातें आपको बता सकता है. सही है, that's what you need to understand. Okay. BI, how many of you have used the BI tools? Power BI, ये कितने लोगों ने इस्तेमाल किए अभी तक या सुना है उनके बारे में? चैट पे बता दें.
Yes, sir.
सर कुछ कोर्सेज थे जैसे इकोनोमेट्रिक्स वगैरह, तो वहाँ पे इनका यूज होता है, स्पेशली माइक्रोसॉफ्ट बीआई एंड व्हाट इज दिस द अदर सॉफ्टवेयर, आई थिंक इट
Power
वाज
BI.
Tableau. Yes, yes,
Tableau.
because yeah, both of them. Not Power BI, I think it was Microsoft BI and then it was Tableau. और फिर इस वक्त ये भी है कि if you want to do masters in data analysis या फिर data science in कहीं से भी किसी अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी से अगर करना है तो उनका kind of एक prereq भी है कि आप लोग ये सब चीजें करके आओ, because हमें इतना सिखाया नहीं जाता है, लेकिन these are very important even if you are just what is this called, even if you are just working at a very conventional job in a firm, because they help you manage everything very well, the data very well, और वहाँ से फिर जो है एक help मिल जाती है trend analytics especially जो है ना, इस वजह से.
Okay, Alize, बिल्कुल आपने सही बात की है. You are absolutely right. And Hafsa is also telling the information. Hafsa ने हमें convey किया है कि BI is the technology that turns the raw information, raw data into something more useful. That's also true. Actually, ये जो बात है ना कि converting raw data into insights, that is done by business analytics. And business analytics, how does business analytics achieve that? It achieves that through a combination of technologies. So for example, I told you that if I want to wrangle my data, then maybe I need to use Python for that. For cleaning the data, I will use maybe Python or R, for example. Because cleaning is a difficult process. Maybe कोई tool मेरी information को, उस need को, maybe it is not able to address that need very specifically. So I might clean the data using Python, and then if I want to do statistical analysis, I can again use Python for that. And if I want to dig deeper into my data after cleaning it, and even after statistical analysis, so I will go for BI tools. Through BI, I'm going to get lots and lots of information, and maybe BI can give me information which is going to solve my problem. And if not, then we have to go towards machine learning. So for example, अगर मेरा problem ही यही है कि मुझे कोई चीज predict करनी है, then I have to do machine learning. But before I do machine learning, I will have to do all these things together. No, business analytics is not a subject of BI. BI is a technology which supports business analytics in the extraction of insights. ठीक है? BA आप समझ लें कि is the mother field, and BI is something जो कि is part of that. That's my perspective. Because the terms are being used interchangeably. Someone might say कि हम BI tool से BA करते हैं, तो ये वो मेरी वाली बात हो जाएगी कि हम BI tool से BA करते हैं, ठीक है? तो BA can be considered to be the mother field, and BI can be the technology that helps you achieve the business analytics outputs. Hamza is asking, does Google Analytics come under BA? Of course. देखिए BA के अंदर तो सारी चीजें आ रही है ना. BA के अंदर क्लीनिंग भी आ रही है. BA involves cleaning. BA involves statistical analysis of your data. BA involves charting of your data, which happens in BI tools. और अभी मैं आपको बहुत सारी examples दिखाने वाला हूँ इंशाल्लाह ताला charts की. And BA also involves prediction. So everything you're talking about is part of BA. In any way, in whichever way the data can be analyzed, that's part of BA. You need to understand that. So Google Analytics is a tool for monitoring your website behavior. So yes, that's a BA tool. Alize is asking about AI. I do not think so that you need to have a very strong foundation of AI, or you need to take a course of AI. But if it is possible to take the course, you can take the course. If it is not possible, then I think you can still have a good, jump start or a head start. इस क्लाउड देखें, जरूरी नहीं है कि एआई में आपको क्लाउड के बारे में बताएं. सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ एआई. एआई इज समथिंग एल्स. एआई तो एक बिल्कुल, एआई इज द टॉप लेवल ग्रैंड मदर फील्ड. ठीक है, उसके अंदर और बहुत सारी चीजें आती हैं जिसका कंसर्न हमारे बिजनेसेस से नहीं है. वी आर मोर कंसर्न विद व्हाट हैपेंस अंडर बीए. Okay, like machine learning, BI, cleaning, wrangling, statistical. We are more concerned with that point, right? AI also involves other things जो कि आपके भी scope में नहीं है. So in my view, it's not necessary for you to take a course on AI. If you don't want to do it, you can take some certification. So I guess we can move ahead now. I'll just clean this. सही है, तो is this thing clear now? I'll just make this. मैं ये बना देता हूँ. ये आपका, I can call it BA. And in BA, I've told you that there are different boxes, or you can say circles, whatever. One of them is BI. Other is cleaning the data. So I can say clean. The other is statistical analysis. The other is machine learning, blah, blah, blah. These might be connected to each other as well. But this is the main scenario. So BI में क्या होता है? What does BI bring you? BI gives you charts. So it makes the whole process more interactive. It allows you to play with your data, to dig into your data, to extract insights. But all possible insights cannot be extracted through BI tools. There are some insights which can only be given through machine learning. If, for example, if you want to make predictions, तो उसके लिए आपको machine learning पे जाना पड़ेगा. You can't use BI tools for machine learning. But you can use BI tools for understanding your data to a large depth. And to tell you the truth, in many multinational companies, they are, in Pakistan at least, they are not using machine learning that much. In fact, all of them are using BI to a very large extent, and they are solving their problems. Okay. So that's why you need to learn. Tableau, Power BI, OBI, ClickView, Spotfire, SAS, BI, etc., etc., etc. All of these are very important, famous tools. इसमें मकसद क्या होता है? I want to analyze my KPIs. All of you do understand what's a KPI, right? I don't need to tell that. Ji. Yes, sir. Alize is participating. That's good. What about the others? Muhammad Asam, key performance
Key
indicators.
performing indicators, yes.
Can you tell me a KPI for a retail business? Ji.
Sales maybe.
Sir, sales.
What else? Retail business तो पूरी supply chain होती है. और क्या क्या है?
Sir, footfall of customers.
Okay, and Alize, volume of sales, returning customer, that's good. Hamza Mulani, number of products. Number of products का क्या मतलब है? Number of products sold, number of products manufactured, inventory levels. Okay, cost of goods sold, yeah. Cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold actually is something जो कि बहुत अच्छा अंदाजा होता है कंपनीज को. वो डैशबोर्ड पे भी शायद उसको देखना नहीं चाहते. I don't know, depends on the company. Sir, for example, which products are popular among consumers? हाँ, customer retention, net profit margin, mashallah ji, mashallah, digital traffic. Yeah, that's good. So most of you have a good idea. That's good. So in BI tools, I'm analyzing the KPIs, but I am analyzing them across the dimensions. That's what you need to understand. And I'm doing this with the charts. What are dimensions? पता है किसी को dimensions क्या होती हैं? So I'll just write this down here. Dimensions are attributes. Okay.
Sir, references collect करना?
No. Across which
Sir, variables के बारे में.
KPIs are analyzed. What have I written here? Dimensions are attributes across which KPIs are analyzed. That's the word that you need to keep in mind, across. So for example, let me give you an example here. So the basic example, sales across date. Sales in January, sales in February, sales in March, sales in quarter 1, sales in quarter 3, uh, sales in year 1, sales in year 2, sales across date, sales cross product, sales for frozen food, sales for confectionery, sales for tissue papers, sales for clothes, sales for toys, across products, sales across location, sales for Karachi, sales for Lahore, sales for North Nazabad, sales for PCHS, sales for Bahadrabad, sales across location. Okay, sales across customers, total sales for gold customers, total sales for old customers, total sales for young customers, total sales across teenagers, blah blah blah. So whenever you analyze a KPI, mostly you total it, right? Total sales, total yield, total customer footfall. You can also average it, you can also total it, but the point is that it is always done across something. ठीक है, ये चीज आपको समझना जरूरी है. I don't analyze KPI by itself. Okay, no one says give me the total sales. What does that mean, the total sales? They'll always say what has been the total sale in the past quarter, on the past 2 weeks, on the past month, for example, on the past day. So they always talk about dimensions. Okay, and you do that with the charts in BI. So if you see an example here, so I have some charts here across all levels. No, price is not a dimension. Price is a KPI. I have to analyze the price. In this, एक minute. Price का ये है कि you can put the price. Typically, what happens in a BI tool is that all the numerical variables are considered as KPIs. We also call the KPIs as facts. Okay, so here you can see that this is a fact. This is also called a KPI. So typically, when you go to a BI tool, the BI tool is going to put all your numerical variables as measures or facts or KPIs. That's another term जो हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं, measures. Measures or KPIs or facts. So you can, so और जितने भी string variables होते हैं वो it put that in dimension. For example, country, city, employees, employee name, product ID वगैरह, that's a dimension. And across these dimensions, I analyze the facts. That's all you need to keep in mind. Okay, across the dimensions, I analyze the facts. For example, I analyze my customer churn across time. कि weekly basis पे कितने लोग मेरे churn out कर गए. I analyze that across time. Okay, I analyze my patients across the disease. How many patients were diagnosed with pneumonia in the past 3 weeks? अब इसमें मैंने 2 dimensions use किए हैं. How many patients? That's a fact or a measure or a KPI. I am totaling that. How many patients were diagnosed with pneumonia? Dimension 1. In the last 3 weeks, dimension 2. Okay, so these are the typical queries which are being asked by business managers. So measures or facts or KPIs across dimensions. और आप जब अपना कोई भी BI tool download करें, I will encourage all of you to download Tableau. Go to Tableau, Google Academics में जाएं. Sorry, Google में जाके लिखें Tableau Academic License. So there's a license for students. Okay, so you can apply for a student license. They're going to give you the license for the whole duration of the course, and you can just do that. अगर आपको कोई course पढ़ा रहा है, for example, मैं अभी BI पढ़ाने लगा हूँ to the CS guys. तो उसमें I don't know कि आप लोग तो खैर eligible पता नहीं होंगे, लेकिन you can learn on your own as well if you want. Okay. So last year मैंने पढ़ाया था. It was a very good experience, but this time अभी वो उसकी तरतीब सही बन नहीं सकी. So you can apply for license and then investigate on your own. Okay. प्लानिंग एंड बिगर पिक्चर, अच्छा ये मुझे समझ नहीं आया इतना। पारल ये चीज आपको क्लियर हो गई है फैक्ट्स एंड डायमेंशंस की? बिगर पिक्चर एनालिसिस। Okay, we analyze the facts or KPIs or measures across dimensions. That's the mindset that you need to keep in mind. So, for example, here is a financial database. यहाँ पर मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? Sorry about that. You need to look at this carefully. Here, this is the balance fact. कि मेरा अकाउंट में बैलेंस कितना है? I can analyze that across the customers, across the account type, across the customer profession, across the time. ये पिछले 2 महीने से मेरा बैलेंस कितना चल रहा है, एवरेज बैलेंस कितना है, इन प्रोफेशन के बंदों के लिए मेरा बैलेंस कितना है, सेविंग्स जो करंट अकाउंट में मेरा जो है वो बैलेंस कितना है, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा। तो आई होप दिस इज क्लियर। फैक्ट्स डायमेंशन, फैक्ट्स डायमेंशन, फैक्ट्स डायमेंशन। लोन है तो लोन कितना लिया गया था विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द लोन टाइप, प्लान लोन टाइप कितने लोन लिए गए, प्लान लोकेशन से कितने कितने लोन्स लिए गए, ठीक है, प्लान टाइम के ऊपर इतने टाइम फ्रेम में कितने लोन्स लिए गए। अगेन फैक्ट्स अक्रॉस डायमेंशंस, फैक्ट्स अक्रॉस डायमेंशंस। तो दैट्स कॉल्ड डेटा वेयर हाउसिंग। ये मैंने आपको बहुत ही ऊपर से समझा दिया है। दैट्स कॉल्ड डेटा वेयर हाउसिंग, दैट्स कॉल्ड डेटा वेयर हाउसिंग। एंड BI tools were discovered to facilitate data warehousing. अब आप ये जो फैक्ट्स अक्रॉस डायमेंशन वाली का मैं अभी दिखाता हूँ आपको, बस कोई एग्जांपल्स आने वाली हैं। So all of these examples most of them are for facts across dimensions. Now it has become easy to do that in BI tools. ठीक है, पहले इतना आसान नहीं था, अब आसान हो गया है। यहाँ पे आप देख लें क्लेम्स है, इंश्योरेंस, मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस क्लेम्स हैं। How much is the claim amount of charge? That's the fact here. How much is the amount of charge with respect to the patient? जैसे पेशेंट का जेंडर है तो फीमेल्स की तरफ से मुझे टोटल चार्ज कितना मिल रहा है, मेल्स की तरफ से टोटल चार्ज कितना आ रहा है, राइट। फिजिशियन जो है, अगर इस फिजिशियन ने ट्रीट किया है तो उसके केसेस में टोटल चार्ज कितना आ रहा है, और अगर किसी और का केस है उसमें टोटल चार्ज कितना आ रहा है। तो फैक्ट्स अक्रॉस डायमेंशंस, again that's the same thing. In data warehousing we call such a setup as the star schema. Just to keep that in mind, but we are not going to make a star schema in BI tools. That's what we used to do earlier on, but BI tools में ये सारा काम अब आसान हो गया है, ठीक है।
Sir,
जी
just to make it a little simpler for my understanding, ये जो अगर जैसे facts को बहुत ही simply याद रखना और समझना हो, so can we say that they are basically the categorical identification, you can say, of the phenomena at hand, और जिस भी डिपार्टमेंट का फॉर एग्जांपल KPI देख रहे हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ पे आई थिंक जितने भी हैं उनमें यही हो रहा है कि वो आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं उसको सिर्फ।
हाँ, आपने बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा है। इसको याद रखने का एक अच्छा तरीका ये होगा कि whatever can be categorized is actually a dimension. यानी if a variable in your data has columns as string values, they are called categories. जैसे product names, product categories, customer की categories, location के नाम हैं। So whatever is string data, that is primarily dimension data. Okay? और जो आपका numerical data होता है, that is something which is tied up with your revenue, that is considered to be a KPI or a fact or a measure. That's the distinction. नहीं, BI tool में जब आप अपना data import करते हैं ना, तो in the BI tool वो automatically it pulls all your numerical columns as facts or measures, okay, and all your string columns and your date columns as dimensions. So you just need to keep these two things in mind. There is a data which is numerical in nature, which is mostly my facts, okay, and there's data which is categorical in nature or string values, which is my dimension data. For example, अब ये आपके सामने sales का dashboard है. Someone has designed this dashboard, okay. In this case, you can see that a country, region, province, city, they're all locations, so these are dimensions. Here we have the product. Here I have the product categories. That's dimension. This is the dimension of location. This is the dimension of product type. Okay, and I have, these are also dimensions from the country side. I can just click on them and the whole dashboard is going to be updated according to that. Sales per square foot, that is definitely a measure or a KPI. Sales per 1K population, again, that's a KPI. And here we have sales according to the channel name. The channel is actually a dimension, and the sales is here as a line graph. Here we have the pie chart, online, reseller, special order, store. These are the channels. So here again we have the dimension, and the size of the donut is showing you the actual sales comparatively. So यही चीजें जो आपको समझनी है कि कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं जिनके across, I wrote the word across. You need to ask this question. I am analyzing what across what. उससे आपको खुद ही पता चल जाएगा. ये उस वक्त सवाल आपको मिलता है जब you don't have the business knowledge. If you have the business knowledge, even before you see the BI tool, you already have a very good idea कि dimensions कौन सी हैं और measures कौन से. सही है? Is this thing clear?
Yes, sir. That makes it easy to remember.
Okay, that's good. So now we are going to move to, अब मैं आपको तकरीबन कोई 15-20 charts दिखाने लगा हूं. So you need to hang on and understand the purpose of each chart. Okay, most of them I think आपको पता ही होंगे. So histogram shows you the distribution of the data. How are your data distributed? Mostly the data जो कि आपका numerical या KPI data होता है, measures होते हैं, it follows the normal distribution like this. Okay, so you can see here that it's normally distributed, but the tail is a bit long, but it's more or less that makes your data reliable. So histogram बना के मैं ये check करता हूँ कि मेरा data reliable है या नहीं, और I can also conduct some statistical tests जैसे Shapiro-Wilkinson test है, and there are also other tests जो कि इस normal behavior को check. This is called a normal distribution. So we have some statistical tests जिनके through आप check कर सकते हैं कि is my data normal or not, or you can just view the histogram and check yourself. In this case, I have two peaks. It's called multimodal. So it might be the case you might be having some variable जिसमें दो peaks आ रही हों, but that's what the monthly salary is varying like this. Okay, so some people have a very large monthly salary, and most of the people have their monthly salary in the range from $800 to $1,200 for some sample of population. सही है, तो this is one of the ways. और histogram is something जो कि आपके BI tools में अब offer हो रहा है. SPSS is not a BI tool. माजरत के साथ SPSS is a statistical tool. जो मैं आपको statistical test की बात कर रहा हूँ, correlation analysis हो गए, आपके t-test हो गए, ANOVA test हो गए, you can do that in SPSS. But BI tool, मैंने आपको बताया था ना कि BI tool तो statistical next sessions देखें थोड़ा सा डिले होगा, मुझे तकरीबन 15 मिनट और चाहिए होंगे. ठीक है
सर, आप अगर 10 मिनट्स ले लें क्योंकि हमारा 11:30 पे नेक्स्ट सेशन स्टार्ट होगा. If you can
हाँ
wrap up.
चलिए उनको थोड़ा सा मैं माजरत के साथ I have to finish that with the students. चलिए I'll try to browse through it quickly. ठीक है
सर, इनको ब्रेक भी देनी है ना हमें 10 मिनट की, क्योंकि उसके बाद चलें आप ले लें 15 मिनट्स.
हाँ वो
Then we'll
एक्चुअली
take a break.
बच्चे नॉलेज असल में हासिल कर लेना तो ब्रेक तो हो जाएगी. ठीक है
ठीक है.
तो तो SPSS में हम स्टैटिस्टिकल टेस्ट्स और स्टैटिस्टिकल फॉर्मूलाज वो उसको एग्जीक्यूट कर सकते हैं. BI का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है दैट गोज अ लॉन्ग वे. हिस्टोग्राम इज जस्ट वन ऑफ द बेसिक चार्ट जो कि BI में आता है. ओके, BI में यू नीड टू, आपको फैसिलिटी मिल रही है कि आप अपने डेटा के बारे में यू गेट लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ एक्स्ट्रा इन्फॉर्मेशन जो कि स्टैटिस्टिक्स आपको हिस्टोग्राम और ये बॉक्स प्लॉट नहीं प्रोवाइड कर सकते. ठीक है, आई जस्ट स्टार्टेड विद हिस्टोग्राम्स. अच्छा, another way to see that is through a density plot. Either you can see a histogram or you can have the density plot. ये देखें आपको ज़्यादा अच्छा बता देता है कि multimodal क्या है. You can compare two distributions together to see के, for example, this could be sales of last quarter, this could be sales of this quarter, how they are varying with respect to each other. ठीक है. Box plot में I guess most of you already know the central line is the median, or the 50% of the data actually lies below the median, and the next 50% lies above. So it's basically very congruous to a box, the normal curve like this. This is an ideal box plot. Okay, so you can see how that works out. So I have 4 box plots for 4 different days. I'm showing me the total bill received. So you can see that the median bill received across the 4 days is almost the same, but there are a few outliers for Saturday and Sunday. So people are paying more on Saturday and Sunday as compared to Thursday and Friday. So I can compare across like that by making different box plots. This is called a correlation heat map. So I can compare the different columns I have with each other. So you can see that, for example, ये data आपका automobile का है. So you can see that MPG, miles per gallon, is negatively correlated with the horsepower. तो अगर आपकी गाड़ी की हॉर्स पावर ज्यादा होगी तो एमपीजी आपको ज्यादा नहीं मिले, कम मिलेगी. अगर हॉर्स पावर कम होगी तो एमपीजी आपको ज्यादा मिलेगी. Both on the city and highway. So red means negative correlation. One is increasing, the other is decreasing, and blue means a positive correlation. One is increasing, the other is also increasing. So I can do this in Python very easily. Okay, and if you have a color like that, like light color, so then that means it's basically no correlation. There's no correlation. For example, आप यहाँ पे देखें कि ये देखें आप, so height का bore के साथ there is no correlation, or here you can see के I can say compression ratio का engine size के साथ there is absolutely no correlation. Does not make sense to compare them. So in this way you get to know more about your data. So correlation heat map is something जो कि आपको BI tools में मिल सकता है. ठीक है. Line charts you already know about these things. Across the time आप देख रहे हैं कि different types of आपके पास categories हैं. How are they varying with respect to the KPI? So this is the KPI here. This is the wildlife population, and this is the dimension. Okay. Product trends by month आपने देखने हैं as the same thing. Solar employment growth by sector. So solar employment growth by sector, how that is happening for different sectors. So that's called a line graph. उसके लिए ये चीज अच्छा रहेगी monitor करने के लिए. Area chart में this is the line chart, and for the same we can have the area chart like that. It's a bit easier to understand and bit easier to analyze how things happen. Okay, and you can see how things are varying with respect to each other if I just fill that up as an area chart. Profit made by a chain of grocery stores. How do I implement BA tools in my business? BA tools are many tools like Python and BI, everything combined together forms a BA tool, right? BA का tool अपना कोई होता नहीं है, BA के अंदर बहुत सारे काम होते हैं. देखें, data wrangling के लिए, cleaning के लिए I will prefer that you use Python. For basic data analysis, statistical analysis, again Python. For in-depth analysis, you have to use some BI tools. You can also form your BI tool you can develop your own BI dashboard on Python. ठीक है, ये भी आप कर सकते हैं. Otherwise आप Power BI इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं, या कोई और online open source BI tool हो वो इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. If you want to do machine learning, again you can go for Python. ठीक है, so basically Python plus BI tool is the combination that you need. मैं इसके आखिर में आपको बताऊंगा. Just hang on a bit. So ये area chart है. This is the scatter plot. You understand this sales price versus ground living area. You can see there is a correlation here. If I draw this line, it seems to be a positive correlation between the ground living area and the sales price of the house. Okay. Well, obviously there are some errors here, but हम कह सकते हैं कि that's the basic idea. GDP per capita with respect to internet speeds. Again, you can see the scatter plot कि वो किस तरह vary कर रहे हैं. I can see again a positive correlation. Output from reg line, surface temperature versus simulation time. In here we have a negative correlation, or I can also say no correlation. I can force a correlation, but it seems to be a negative one if I force it. Okay. Connected scatter plot, that gives you a bit better idea evolution of the Bitcoin price, how that happens. So the same thing for different product categories. Sugar consumption versus body mass index. This is the connected scatter plot. तो कनाडा में और यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स में आप देख रहे हैं कि जो आपकी बॉडी मास इंडेक्स वर्सेस शुगर कंजम्पशन पैटर्न, यू कैन कंपेयर देम एंड सी इट्स क्वाइट डिफरेंट थ्रू अ कनेक्टेड स्कैटर प्लॉट. ठीक है. Sankey diagram, that's extremely important. So I have one category here, one category here, one category here. Okay. For example, I can have location here, I can have product category here, and I can have the sales here. So ये कराची की लोकेशन है, ये फ्रोजन फूड है, ये सेल्स है. तो कराची फ्रोजन फूड की सेल्स कितनी होती हैं और लाहौर कराची इसकी सेल्स कितनी होती हैं और कराची के जो फ्रोजन फूड की इस कैटेगरी की सेल्स कितनी होती हैं. So let's see an example of this. Here you have the region, customer segment, product category, order priority. So the people from the south region are basically going to uh, uh, home office customer segment. They have a home office customer segment. They are buying office supplies and they do not specify the order priority. So अब अगर ये जो ज़्यादा dark lines हैं, they represent the more prominent patterns. So east, small business, furniture and high. So this represents something which is very significant, consisting of much data. And these are my segment जो कि मैं अपनी marketing के लिए target कर सकता हूँ. That's a Sankey diagram. ये Power BI में बन जाती है और online भी बन जाती है free में. ठीक है, you just have to type online Sankey diagram और आप उस पर data डालें. There's some of the tools will come up and you can design yourself. This is another example. Readmission flows with respect to county hospitals. AMI is probably the device, the disease, and then you have the number of readmissions. ये इसका box plot भी बना हुआ है, bubble chart भी बना हुआ है, ठीक है. So you need to look at this Sankey. It's very useful. ठीक है. This is being done on ClickView. Bank Muscat वालों ने भी ये Sankey बनाई है. It's a bit incomplete, but net interest outcome को आप operating expenses के साथ या others के साथ link up करें. Heat maps. That's not very difficult. You just need to understand the कि disease कहाँ पे फैली है, कहाँ पे कौन से customers किस तरह के हैं. So you can put that on the BI tool. आपको chart भी मिल जाएगा और आपको heat map भी बनाने में वो आपको help करेगा. इन सारी चीजों की वो functioning हो जाती है. You can make adjustment to have these visualizations in place and understand your data. So this is not predictive analytics. This is just getting more information about your data, answering more and more questions. ठीक है. This is something which is very important for e-commerce and telecom customers जो कि online चल रहे होते हैं, even banks के लिए, कि day by day basis पे घंटों के हिसाब से what has been the heat map, कि कब red हुआ है, कब green हुआ है, कब yellow हुआ है, according to what you want to analyze. For example, number of transactions, number of deposits, number of यानी जो withdrawals, etc. etc. Okay. This is again the same example. आप इसको map कर सकते हैं. This is also the heat map, the same example. और इसके मिलता जुलता आपका ट्री मैप होता है. ये बहुत जरूरी है. ट्री मैप आपको बहुत जल्दी बता देता है कि बड़े बड़े बॉक्सेस आपके ज्यादा डेटा रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं. So you can have developed the tree map similar to the heat map. So this is more organized and this is very useful. So you need to dig into that as well. A stacked bar chart, you probably know about this. You can show two information in the same bar. So this is the compliance goal कि कितने लोगों ने goal achieve कर लिया, कितने लोगों ने goal achieve नहीं किया, कितने मिस कर गए, कितने मिस नहीं किया Q2 में. So it's very easy to see in that way, and everything is stacked with respect to 100%. ठीक है. Similarly here, and I can also stack the area charts in a similar way to understand things better. ये बहुत जबरदस्त चीज है. ये Power BI के अंदर है ribbon chart. ठीक है. तो इसके अंदर I can compare how the sales of different product categories is varying. So you can is varying with respect to each other. So you can see के जनवरी से जून में जो हमारा men है, they are at the top always, and sometimes it could happen के this could be at the top, sometimes this could be at the top. तो ये सारे आपस में मिलते जुलते भी हो सकते हैं. इस केस में तो बड़ा नॉर्मल पैटर्न चल रहा है, but it could be the case कि रेड जो है वो फरवरी में नीचे आ जाए, येलो ऊपर चला जाए. उससे आपको बड़ा अच्छा अंदाजा हो जाता है. तो ये सैंकी चार्ट और रिबन चार्ट जो है, that is something that you need to focus on along with the other charts. ठीक है. Here यहाँ पर आप देखें कि ये जो कैमरास की सेल है, कैमरास की सेल जो है वो यहाँ तक तो सही थी और इसके बाद ये नीचे आना शुरू हो गई. So that's absolutely essential to understand your data, how your sales pattern are varying. A bubble chart, so it's you have three variables: consumer rating, revenue, and the product type. So your different colors represent the different products or the size, in fact. ठीक है. और जो यहाँ पर रेटिंग है वो आपका रिप्रेजेंट करिए कि 40% consumer rating is corresponding with 12 million revenue for this particular product. तो जब भी आपने तीन वेरिएबल्स इकट्ठे एनालाइज करने हो तो मोस्टली या तो सैंकी चार्ट होगा या रिबन हो सकता है या बबल चार्ट हो सकता है. ठीक है. तो अब मैं ये कह नहीं सकता कि बबल कब इस्तेमाल करेंगे. आपकी बिजनेस प्रॉब्लम पे डिपेंड करता है कि आप कौन सा चार्ट किस वक्त यूज करें. ये स्कोर कार्ड्स हैं जो मैंने आपको शुरू के डैशबोर्ड में दिखाए थे. ये शुरू में ऊपर डाले जाते हैं, और स्कोर कार्ड को आप बाकायदा डिजाइन कर सकते हैं। स्कोर कार्ड के लिए आपके पास वो भी होते हैं, ट्रैफिक इंडिकेटर्स भी होते हैं, इनको हम गॉजेस कहते हैं। आई फॉरगॉट इंक्लूड दोज इन द प्रेजेंटेशन, बट ये गॉजेस आ गए, सॉरी मैं भूल गया था। तो यू कैन से कि आप रेड पर हैं, ग्रीन पर हैं, येलो पर हैं। तो पावर बीआई में इसके बहुत सारे गॉजेस आजकल कम से कम 2 या 3 मुख्तलिफ किस्म के गॉजेस आ रहे हैं। तो इट हेल्प्स यू अंडरस्टैंड कि आप कितना दूर है खतरे से या कितना करीब है। ठीक है, ये मेरी फाइनल स्लाइड है कि इफ़ यू आर एन एंटरप्रेन्योर आपको क्या करना चाहिए। तो पहले तो आपको ये पूछना चाहिए कि आया कि आपके दिल में ये बात है कि आई एम नॉट टैपिंग इनटू माय डेटा, आई नीड टू डिस्कवर माय कस्टमर्स मोर, I can collect the data to get to know my customers in a better way. If you can do that, yes, you should go towards business analytics. And if you have a problem, then you should definitely go towards business analytics. अच्छा, स्टार्टअप्स अगर आप कर रहे हैं ना, तो स्टार्टअप्स के लिए मेरा जहन ये आता है कि आप कंप्लीटली ओपन सोर्स चले जाएं। ठीक है, तो पहले तो आपके पास बेसिकली यू नीड टू हैव डेटाबेस। एक्सेल पे काम ना करें, यू शुड हैव अ डेटाबेस, या तो माईसीक्वल हो या मोंगोडीबी हो। चाहे आपका डेटा बहुत कम है लेकिन आपके पास एक डेटाबेस होना चाहिए, तो अपना डेटाबेस इंप्लीमेंट करें या करवाएं। फिर आप ये डिटरमिन करें कि मैंने क्या प्रॉब्लम अपना सॉल्व करना है जिसके लिए मैं बिजनेस एनालिटिक्स कर रहा हूँ। उसके लिए फिर डिटरमिन के आपकी डेटा क्लीनिंग के काम कौन कौन से हैं, उसके लिए उसको उसकी स्क्रिप्ट्स बनवा लें। ठीक है, पाइथन की स्क्रिप्ट बना लें कि मेरे पास तो डेटा क्लीनिंग इस तरह की जाती है, तो वो स्क्रिप्ट एग्जीक्यूट होगी तो नया डेटा जो होगा वो ऑटोमेटिकली क्लीन हो जाएगा। आपको हर रोज बैठ के खुद ब खुद क्लीनिंग उसकी करनी नहीं पड़ेगी। जस्ट नीड टू प्रेस अ बटन और एग्जीक्यूट अ कोड, और वो आपका डेटा क्लीन होके मोंगोडीबी में चला जाएगा। इसी तरह आपको पता होना चाहिए कि मैंने रैंगल करने के लिए कोरिलेशन मैंने निकालने हैं, मैंने बीआई में ये चीजें देखनी है, क्या क्या चीजें मैं देखता हूँ, वो चीजें भी आप ऑटोमेट कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, अब मेरा जो आपको जो थोड़ा बहुत मेरा जो उसमें वो है रिकमेंडेशन है, वो ये है कि आप अपना इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बना लें, इन द सेंस के you need to have a database, जैसे मैंने कहा कि MongoDB, and then you need to have this application। अगर आप BI टूल नहीं इस्तेमाल करना चाह रहे, जैसे पावर BI है या क्लिक व्यू है, इफ इट इज एक्सपेंसिव, पावर BI तो वैसे फ्री मिल जाता है, लेकिन हम पाइथन के अंदर भी डैशबोर्ड्स डाल सकते हैं। ये उसकी लाइब्रेरी है d3.js, इसमें सारे के सारे चार्ट्स मेरे ख्याल में अवेलेबल हैं। तो आप किसी कोडर को हायर करके आप ये कर सकते हैं कि आप अपने पसंद का डैशबोर्ड कंपाइल करवा लें जो आपके प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करता है। ठीक है, उसको डेटाबेस से कनेक्ट करवा दें, यहाँ पे आपकी क्लीनिंग होगी, उसके बाद आपका स्टैटिस्टिकल एनालिसिस होगा, उसके बाद आपका बीआई के स्टेप्स होंगे, और फिर डैशबोर्ड पे आपको सारी चीजें नजर आ जाएंगी। तो इवन इफ यू आर अ स्टार्टअप, तो आप पाइथन के अंदर ये पूरा का पूरा काम आप करवा सकते हैं, और इस पूरे प्रोग्राम को आप ऑटोमेट करवा सकते हैं ऑन अ डेली बेसिस। इट विल टेक टाइम टू कन्वर्ज, लेकिन एटलीस्ट यू विल हैव अ डैशबोर्ड व्हिच यू कैन सी एवरी डे कि मेरा बिजनेस कैसे चल रहा है। ठीक है, एंड यू नीड टू हैव दिस माइंडसेट कि जब भी आप डैशबोर्ड बनाएंगे तो यू नीड टू हैव द माइंडसेट के KPIs वर्सेस डायमेंशन, KPIs वर्सेस डायमेंशन, KPIs वर्सेस डायमेंशन, अक्रॉस डायमेंशन, ये आपको पता होना चाहिए, एंड देन यू आर गुड टू गो। ठीक है, इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस नाउ तो प्लीज मुझसे पूछ लें। जस्ट वेट जी, इज इट बेनिफिशियल टू डू मास्टर्स इन एथिक्स और डेटा साइंस इन पाकिस्तान? एब्सोल्युटली बेनिफिशियल। देखें, आप लोग इफ यू आर फ्रॉम अ बिजनेस बैकग्राउंड और अगर आपको एनालिटिक्स के बारे में सारी चीजें आती हैं, तो मैंने आपको पहले भी आई यूज द वर्ड लीथल। ठीक है, कि आपके पास बिजनेस नॉलेज भी है, आपके पास एनालिटिक्स का नॉलेज भी है, you can guide the data science team, and you can also talk with the business guys in their own speak। तो दोनों तरफ का गेम आप संभाल सकते हैं। तो पहले ये होता था कि बीच का कोई बंदा नहीं होता था ना, there was no one in the center, बट आप लोग जो हैं, जो सारे इसके फाइनेंस साइड के हैं या मैनेजमेंट, मार्केटिंग एक्सेट्रा, अगर आप लोग ये स्किल सेट्स डेवलप कर लेते हैं तो आई थिंक यू कैन गो अ लॉन्ग वे। ठीक है, तो यस, यू शुड डू इट, यू शुड डू इट। या और कोई सवाल है? ओके, सो आई गेस दिस इज इट। So thanks a lot for participating in this, and I'm also very happy to give the talk. Thank you very much.